They discovered the shocking truth behind Abraham's most painful test of faith. Few knew what truly happened that night beneath the ancient stars, when shadows danced ominously against the rugged mountains of Moriá. The air was thick with tension. Abraham stood at a crossroads between faith and agony, his heart pounding like a drum as he clutched the rope tightly in trembling hands. His beloved son Isaque, unaware of the storm brewing in his father's heart, looked up with innocent eyes, trusting and naive. How could a father ever be willing to sacrifice his own child? This was the riddle that haunted the campfires of many tribes. It was a test, many-sided divine challenge sent from the heavens. But was it? Was this act of obedience a sign of unwavering faith, or was it the ultimate betrayal of a father's love? Night fell silently, but not a soul could truly grasp the weight of what was to come. Abraham had spent years nurturing his promised son. His laughter, his voice, filled the tents and warmed his heart. How could he now bear the thought of raising the knife? And yet, the still small voice calling him to the mountain was unmistakable. What ancient force pulled at his very soul? A test ordained by God, perhaps a divine whisper wrapped in shadows, nudging him toward the unthinkable. The landscape itself seemed to whisper secrets as he climbed. Stars twinkled like watchful eyes, observing this moment of unimaginable tension. Would heaven intervene? Or had Abraham misread the message completely, leading him to this horrific pass? The stone altar loomed ahead, cold and unyielding, waiting like a predator for its sacrifice. The thought of loss roared in his ears while his faith flickered like a dying candle. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, questions pierced the silence. How could he reconcile love with command? Why was he chosen for such a torment? Isaque looked to his father, confused, sensing the storm within him. There was a moment where the world stood still, reality seemed to bend. Just as the blade glinted in the morning light, moments away from severing their bond forever, a sound broke through the tranquility. A rustle, a whisper. Was it a ram caught in the thicket? Or a voice from heaven? Before the climax could unfold, the chapter closed into a gripping silence. What would happen next? Did Abraham's faith hold strong, or had he simply failed the most painful test of his life? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The sun rose slowly over Mount Moriá, casting a gentle glow on the rugged terrain. Abraham's heart raced in the aftermath of the unexpected rustle. He felt a presence. It was as if the air itself vibrated with unresolved tension. He glanced at Isaque, whose bewilderment tugged at the chords of his soul. The innocence in his son's eyes deepened the ache within him. "Father, we have the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" It was a simple question, yet it carried the weight of the world. Abraham hesitated, the invitation to speak his truth caught in his throat. "God will provide for himself the lamb," he replied, his voice barely more than a trembling whisper. These words, drawn from faith, felt as thin as the sparse air around them. Did he believe them? Silence fell again, as if the mountains themselves awaited the resolution of this trial. Drawn back to the altar, Abraham knelt before the formidable stones, each one a testament to the struggle between obedience and devotion. In the stillness, he confronted the thoughts that had plagued him since he first received the command. Did true faith demand surrendering what was most cherished? Was he, in this act, emulating his Creator who sacrificed for love? As he laid Isaque upon the altar, the smell of burning wood filled the air, mingling with the fragrance of dew still clinging to the grass. He reached for the knife, every muscle and fiber of his being radiating conflict. His grip tightened, yet a voice deeper than the thrumming of his heart called out, urging him to pause. Then came the rustling again, more insistent. Was it the ram, or was it an echo of the caring God he had known? At that moment, a profound realization washed over him. This act transcended mere obedience. It beckoned a realm of intimate relationship with God that was meant to be explored, not just understood. The once distant stars now felt close, settling in his heart like familiar friends. Each twinkle reminded him of promises those made to him, and those he sought to keep. Abraham closed his eyes and breathed deep, wrestling with the paradox of love and sacrifice. With the knife hovering in the air, he sought direction amidst the tensions of loyalty and surrender. Suddenly, a rustle erupted from the thicket beside him, sharp and clear. Abraham's heart stopped. With instinctive urgency, he turned, and there, caught firmly in the brush, was a ram, its horns tangled but alive. The creature's presence felt like an echo from the divine. Was this the answer to his turmoil? As Abraham released the blade, tears escaped, carving paths down his weathered cheeks. He understood then that the choice he had been given was not merely a test of faith but an invitation into a deeper relationship with God, a call to trust beyond understanding. Would this moment reshape not just his own faith, but that of generations to come? With trembling hands, he untied Isaque from the altar and took the ram, replacing one sacrifice with another. The fire unfurled, consuming the offering as prayers and praise spiraled towards the heavens. What could this miraculous provision reveal about the nature of sacrifice and trust? Did faith require the abandonment of control, or was it an embrace of something greater? As the smoke rose, mingling with the whispers of that ancient mountain, Abraham still found himself grappling with an unresolved question. Could a heart so filled with love find its truest expression in surrendering all? Would he ever truly understand the deeper mysteries at play in the acts of faith required of him, or of anyone who dared to walk the sacred path laid before them? As the smoke ascended into the open sky, the heat of the flames intertwined with the chill of early dawn. Abraham stood awash in a torrent of emotions, his heart an intricate tapestry woven with threads of relief, joy, and sorrow. The ram lay as the substitute for Isaque, its life given so that his beloved son could continue to breathe. Yet, there lingered a sensation of disquiet, an inkling that this miraculous moment was but a glimpse of a broader purpose, one woven deeply into the fabric of faith itself. After the offering was consumed and the embers began to cool, Abraham turned his gaze toward Isaque, who stood at a distance, observing the scene with wide eyes. What thoughts raced through the boy's mind? Had he grasped the full weight of what had transpired? In the silence that enveloped them, father and son shared an unspoken bond, a connection unbreakable, yet now steeped in the gravity of their experience. "Father," Isaque finally said, stepping forward with a tentative voice. "Was this how God meant for us to show our love? By giving up what we cherish the most?" His young face held a mixture of confusion and wonder, embodying the very question that echoed within Abraham's heart. Abraham knelt to meet Isaac's gaze. "It is more than just giving up what we love," he replied, struggling to articulate the depths of the truth that was beginning to unfold. "It is about trusting that even when we cannot see the path ahead, God holds it all in his hands." As Isaiah's eyes searched his father's face, Abraham remembered the lessons passed down through generations, stories of faith that overcame despair, of sacrifices that led to blessings unforeseen. Was this one sacrifice, born from heart-wrenching choice, just another link in that enduring chain of faith? In that moment of reflection, a gentle breeze swept across the mountain, carrying with it whispers of the divine. Abraham sensed it was not just here to surround him with comfort, it bore a messagian echo of purpose that transcended time and space. Could it be that this experience was a doorway to deeper truths that he had yet to comprehend? As they descended Mount Moriá, the quiet of the landscape felt pregnant with significance. Each step drew them closer not only to home but also to a new understanding of the divine interplay between sacrifice and love. They walked in silence, yet the unseen presence of God accompanied them, a soundless guide through the labyrinth of life's trials. Upon their return to the encampment, Hannah rushed forward to embrace them, her bright eyes damp with unshed tears. Abraham felt the powerful surge of familial love that enveloped him, the kind that had endured through testing moments and heart-wrenching sacrifices. Yet, as he held her close, his heart still carried the weight of the question, what does it mean to truly let go in faith? The day's light waned, casting elongated shadows around them. That evening, as the stars began to flicker in the sky, Abraham gathered his family around the fading fire. Underneath the tapestry of eternity, he sensed a tug within, a call to share the story of the day's events not as a mere account of struggle, but as a testament of faith that could inspire not just himself, but generations yet to come. That I have learned today, he began, his voice steady but filled with reverence, that sometimes the greatest act of faith is not just in the offering we give, but in the understanding that we must continuously seek a relationship with the divine. As the words settled amongst them, Abraham pondered the possible ramifications of the truths he was revealing. Would Isaac, and those who would come after them, grasp the profound nature of this test? Or would the message become lost over time, diluted by the passage of years and the shadows of doubt? As the night deepened, the stars swirled above, holding secrets yet unshared. Abraham's heart raced with an unfamiliar excitement, tinged with fear. What would these revelations mean for their lineage, their understanding of God, and their place within His promises? With each flicker of the firelight, a new question loomed, as mysterious as the heavens above. Could the very act of surrender lead not just to personal salvation, but to a collective transformation in the hearts of many? Abraham sat by the flickering fire, the night air cool against his skin, yet his heart burned with a growing anticipation. He looked around at his family, who seemed captivated not by the spectacle of flames but by the weight of his words. The stories woven through generations began to pulse within him, each a thread in the larger tapestry of their shared faith. He turned his gaze toward the sky, where countless stars glimmered like aspirations awaiting manifestation, and in that moment, his thoughts drifted beyond the confines of their immediate circle. Tonight, he continued, his voice imbued with the gravity of his experience, we have witnessed something profound. This sacrifice was not merely about me nor about you, Isaac. It was a revelation of something far greater, of a relationship born through trust and obedience. He paused, allowing the flames to crackle before speaking again. What if each trial we face, each moment of surrender serves to deepen our understanding of God's love for us? The night sky seemed to nod, and the wind rustled in response, as if the very cosmos was listening. Isaac, still pondering his father's words, finally spoke, "But Father, why do we have to sacrifice? Does God not wish for us to be happy? Why must trust be built on pain?" His innocence drew forth the echoes of doubt that lay buried in Abraham's heart. "Ah, my son," Abraham replied, a gentle smile gracing his rugged features, "this is where faith reveals its true depth. It is easy to trust when everything is well, when life unfolds just as we wish. However, genuine faith is often forged in the fires of despair. It's a delicate balance of love, yearning, and sometimes, pain. God does not desire our suffering, but through it, He brings forth understanding." The reflective cadence of his words filled the space around them. Yet, the question lingered, resonating in the silence that followed. Was this journey neither straightforward nor merely personal? Could it extend beyond his patriarchal lineage, toward a destiny entwined with all humanity? What mighty implications could arise from a life dedicated to such trust? As the embers grew dim, and the stars cast their ethereal glow, a soft rustle drew his attention. From the darkness emerged a figure cloaked in shadows, a newcomer to their midst. It was Melchizedek, the king of Salem, who had come bearing bread and wine. His presence radiated a warmth that harmonized with the humility of the night. "Blessed are you, Abraham," Melchizedek proclaimed, his voice rich and filled with an unseen wisdom. "You've walked a treacherous path, yet you have stood steadfast in your faith. The test you faced today was a glimpse into a larger plan, a divine thread that binds you to generations yet to come. This offering, dear Abraham, is a testament to an even greater promise." Abraham's heart quickened at the king's words. "What do you mean, wise Melchizedek? What promise do you speak of?" The heavy hit of curiosity plunged into the depths of his thoughts. "Listen closely," Melchizedek replied, eyes glimmering under the starlight. "In time, this act of faith will not only resonate through your lineage but also echo to countless souls. The sacrifice we present is an invitation to a new covenantal relationship that transcends boundaries and generations. It speaks of a love so profound, it will eventually lay down its life for all. A poignant stillness enveloped them. Abraham's mind raced as the pieces began to click into place. How could this solitary act converge with something greater than himself? What did it mean for the children of Abraham, for the nations outside his own, a truth that would ripple through time? As he considered Melchizedek's words, lingering questions filled the air. Could this act be the seed that leads to redemption, or brings forth an understanding of grace long forgotten? The flames crackled softly, signaling the passage of time, yet within Abraham's thoughts, the weight of uncertainty grew heavier. Was he merely a part of something divine, a dance within a greater narrative? As he watched the stars, new realization dawned. Trusting God meant remaining diligent, allowing each moment to unfold for its intended purpose. What unseen paths would these revelations set them upon? And would they be prepared to embrace the collective transformation that awaited them all? As the stars bore witness to the unfolding conversation, Abraham found himself swept away by the magnitude of Melchizedek's revelations. Each moment felt heavy with significance, steeped in divine purpose. The night felt alive, its very fabric woven with the whispers of unseen destinies. What does this covenant entail? Abraham asked, voicing the tremor of hope mingling with apprehension. He sensed that Melchizedek's words held keys to understanding the very nature of his journey and the steps he must take forward. Melchizedek's gaze deepened as he took a slow breath. The covenant is a promise that traverses time, Abraham. Your legacy is not bound solely to the soil you tread or to kin that share your blood. No, it extends to hearts open enough to receive ethos who will trust in what they cannot see. It is a promise that a great leader will arise, one who embodies the purest sacrifice, uniting the scattered and divided into one. Isaac, intrigued, leaned closer to his father. Father, what does it mean to unite? How can we, who come from different lineages, ever truly become one? Abraham considered his son's question, the weight of it pressing down with the gravity of the universe. How could he explain that the essence of unity stems from a shared vulnerability, the willingness to lay one's heart bare before others, much like he had laid himself upon the altar? It means, Abraham began slowly, that in recognizing our shared struggles, we find common ground. Our fears, our longings, they are threads that connect us. By embracing our individual stories, we awaken to the truth that we are not alone, but rather a part of a grand, divine narrative. Melchizedek nodded in agreement, his presence reinforcing the truth that emanated from Abraham's words. Indeed, it is through that understanding that hearts can be knitted together in love. In time, you will see this unfold. For now, however, you must embrace the trials that are yet to come, the tests that will shape your lineage, your descendants. They will inherit not just your name, but your faith, your journey of trust. As the night deepened, the fire flickered dimmer, while the celestial bodies overhead felt ever more alive. Abraham felt the weight of the revelation settling heavily on his shoulders. What would these challenges look like? How could he prepare Isaac to carry this legacy forward, one that would be stained by both sacrifice and grace? A sigh escaped Isaac's lips, filled with a mixture of curiosity and concern. But, dear father, what if I falter? What if our people fail to understand this covenant? Ah, my son, came Melchizedek's gentle response, the beauty of grace lies in its abundance. Failure is but a lesson in humility. Embrace it, and do not fear the paths that seem uncertain. Trust is a journey filled with unseen twists, yet it is through these very experiences that you will forge deeper connections to God and to each other. As the wise king's words lingered in the air, a silence enveloped them, rich with the promise of a future uncharted. Abraham sought comfort in the light of the stars, each one a reminder of the expansive universe that lay before them. Could the journey of faith indeed be a thread that stitched together hearts across ages? Would they each find their place within this divine tapestry? The fire sputtered out, and the quiet night deepened, a precursor to the challenges that lay ahead. What trials awaited to sculpt the faith of Abraham's lineage? What lessons would they carry beyond the boundaries of their own understanding? As he contemplated these questions, one truth felt certain: the voyage of trust held infinite layers yet to be unveiled, each leading them closer to the heart of the covenant and the God who beckoned them onward. As dawn caressed the horizon, the pale light cast gentle shadows over the landscape. Abraham awoke, troubled dreams lingering like tendrils of mist. The words of Melchizedek reverberated in his mind, urging him to consider the unfolding path. What awaited them in the days to come? Isaac stirred beside him, squinting at the sunlight that spilled through the trees. He sat up and looked to his father, curiosity glittering in his eyes. "Father, what must we do now? Do we await more signs of this covenant?" Abraham pondered the question, the weight of expectation heavy on his heart. "We must live in faith today, my son. Each step we take carries significance in ways we cannot yet imagine. Trust will be our guide." They broke their fast with humble offerings of bread and water, sharing their thoughts as they chewed. Each morsel felt sacred, a small communion between father and son, a moment of unity amidst the uncertainty that loomed ahead. Here, in the embrace of nature, Abraham could hear echoes of past lessons. Our forefather, Noah, faced his own challenges, Abraham began, drawing on ancestral wisdom to comfort them both. He was called to step into the unknown, tasked with building an ark against a world that had lost its way. His faith, though tested, became a shelter for life. And like him, our covenant is a tribute to the journey we undertake together. Isaac listened intently, captivated. But what if our path leads us to trials far worse than storms? What if God asks something of us that we cannot bear? A shiver of dread coursed through Abraham at his son's words. There was a weight behind the question that struck him with an unyielding force. We must prepare ourselves, Isaac, to embrace whatever is asked of us, trusting that the one who calls us will provide what we need to endure. Remember, the truest test of faith often lies in surrender. As the sun rose higher, casting warmth across the land, a flock of birds soared overhead, their cries piercing the morning calm. The sight brought a flicker of hope to Abraham's heart. "Look at them, my son. They fly without fear of the storms, guided by instincts far beyond their understanding. So, too, must we trust in the guidance of God." Still, the unease settled in his bones. A gnawing fear whispered within him, urging him to consider the profound nature of the covenant discussed with Melchizedek. Was there a cost to this promise? Abraham knew deep within that his journey would demand more than passive trust. It would ask for action born from vulnerability. "May we always be willing to seek the truth, even when it's painful," he cautioned, casting a sidelong glance at Isaac, who seemed to sense the gravity of his father's musings. For the path of faith is often entwined with trials meant to refine us like gold in fire. Eager yet pensive, Isaac nodded, absorbing the lesson that flickered like the morning sun. Together, they gathered their belongings and prepared to journey onwards, stepping into the day as shadows migrated into light. The call of destiny echoed in their hearts, each heartbeat a reminder of the intertwined fates that formed the fabric of their lives. As they walked, Abraham's mind was steeped in questions, colorful yet troubling. He sensed the significance of their covenant would not be understood until it unfurled through life's tapestry. Would Isaac also one day face moments that demanded painful sacrifice? Would they discern the unseen hands guiding their steps toward an ultimate purpose? With these unresolved thoughts swirling within him, Abraham turned toward the horizon, the journey ahead cloaked in mystery. The sun climbed steadily higher, illuminating the path but not the trials awaiting them. What unthinkable demands would their faith one day encounter? What sacred truths lay hidden in the shadows of their destiny? Would they be ready to embrace the weight of realizing their part in the divine story? As they walked, the warmth of the sun caressed their backs, yet the air around them was thick with anticipation. Each step Abraham took felt like a progression toward an unknown threshold, a crossing into realms of divine engagement that could either uplift or shatter their spirits. Isaac, buoyed by youthful curiosity, strolled beside his father, glancing at the vast expanse of the sky and the rugged terrain that stretched before them. "Father," Isaac finally spoke, his voice mingling with the gentle sounds of nature, "do you think God has a plan for us that we cannot see yet? You mentioned truth and surrender. What if the truth leads us somewhere painful?" Abraham paused, allowing the question to settle heavily within him. The world around them seemed to fade, the whispers of their environment drowned out by the deeper inquiry of his son's heart. "Isaac," he replied slowly, "pain is often the crucible in which faith is forged. Sometimes, the very things that lead us to our greatest understanding are the hardships we must face." Isaac frowned, contemplating his father's words. He drew a deep breath, not fully grasping the weight of what lay in their future, yet sensing its importance. "But what if the pain is about loss? What if I must bear the burden of letting go?" The landscape shifted as they entered a grove of ancient trees. The shadows danced upon the forest floor, mirroring the turbulent emotions stirring within Abraham. He understood the essence of sacrifice, but he also felt the tumult of anxiety rise within him. "The act of letting go may very well lead us to what we truly need," he said, his voice tinged with a tremble of uncertainty. "God does not take from us without a greater purpose." As they continued their trek, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves above, almost like a whisper echoing back their conversation. Abraham's thoughts drifted back to his dialogue with Melchizedek, the royal priest who had prompted him to consider deeper truths. The enigmatic nature of that meeting lingered like a fragrance throughout the day, compelling him to explore the layers that surrounded the covenant he had accepted. "Do you remember what Melchizedek said?" Abraham asked, trying to guide the conversation toward a deeper understanding of their circumstance. "He spoke of a promise interwoven with our lineage. What if all these trials we face, or shall face, weave into the same design? Is it a good design or a difficult one?" Isaac pondered, his youthful innocence shining through his solemn expression. "That is the mystery, my son," Abraham replied, taking in the enormity of his own uncertainty. "We cannot see the full tapestry of our lives, but I believe each thread is essential, even those dyed with sorrow. Faith is clinging to the assurance that there is beauty, even in the brokenness." Just then, the grove seemed to thrum with a presence, an energy that vibrated with unspoken revelations. Abraham felt a burning sensation in his chest, a calling to embrace what lay ahead, though he hardly comprehended what sacrifices might come. The air thickened with anticipation, and a moment of breathtaking stillness enveloped them. As the two trekked further, they stumbled upon a small stream, its waters sparkling under the sun. Abraham knelt beside it, cupping his hands to drink. "Look how freely the water flows," he said, meeting Isaac's gaze. "It does not hesitate to carve its path, regardless of the obstacles. Faith also flows, my son. When challenged, it molds itself around the contours of existence, shaping us as we surrender to the divine will." Isaac crouched beside him, fascinated by the clarity of the water and the glimmering stones below. "And what if our flow leads to a place of sacrifice? What if it means losing someone we love?" The piercing question hung between them, sharp and heavy. Abraham felt a surge of protectiveness toward Isaac but knew that protecting him from the truth would only hinder his growth. "Then we must trust that is part of paying tribute to a greater purpose. God's plans entrust us with the most precious of burdens, and the strength to carry them comes from the love we hold for one another, even in separation." They lingered in this moment, the bond of father and son palpable, a sacred space amid uncertainty. With the current of their fears and hopes mingling in the air, Abraham couldn't help but wonder what lies ahead for each of them. As they resumed their journey, the path before them shrouded in the secrets of divine intention, one question marked their hearts: what cost would their faith demand, and would they be willing to embrace whatever lay within the depths of that calling? With every step deeper into the wilderness, the weight of unspoken revelations pressed upon Abraham. The world around them seemed to hold its breath, as if nature itself understood the gravity of their journey. Each sound, the rustling leaves, distant calls of birds, the murmurs of the stream, felt charged with a significance that only a keen heart might comprehend. "Father," Isaac said quietly, breaking the contemplative stillness. "Do you think we are being tested now, even before we reach the altar?" Abraham met his son's anxious gaze, seeing in it a mixture of worry and unwavering courage. "Every moment is a test of faith, Isaac. Our hearts are continually measured by our willingness to trust, to hope, and to continue taking steps even when the path grows dim." Isaac looked away, reflecting on these words. The sun illuminated his youthful face, making the haunting question of sacrifice loom larger as the shadows stretched around them. But who tests us, Father? Is it God, or is it the world around us, with its trials and tribulations? Abraham mused on this for a moment. Perhaps it is both, he said slowly. The Holy One places challenges in our path to draw forth our true selves, while the world's burdens often reveal the fragility of our hopes. We must navigate both with wisdom and a heart anchored in trust. As dusk approached, the air grew cooler, and the familiar scent of earth mingling with evening dew wrapped around them. Just then, they reached the base of a mighty mountain, its peak veiled in swirling mist. The majestic sight stirred something within Abraham, a call to ascend into the unknown that felt both exhilarating and fearful. Why do you think mountains are so revered? Isaque asked, his eyes wide, tracing the outline of the great monolith before them. Mountains are places where heaven and earth kiss, Abraham replied, his voice low. They remind us to aim higher, to reach toward the divine. When we ascend, we can gain perspectives we lacked below. Yet as he spoke, a heaviness settled upon his heart. What would this mountain hold for them? Would it echo the cries of surrender, or would it be a sanctuary of providence? Uncertainty gnawed at his core. They began to ascend slowly, each step measured within the solemn ascent. The terrain grew rocky, each foothold demanding concentration. And with each careful climb, Abraham felt a swell of emotion, a mixture of trepidation for what lay at the summit and gratitude for the time shared with Isaque. Father, Isaac's voice broke through Abraham's thoughts. If God is in control, then do we ever really have a choice? Do we simply follow where we are led, like a stream conforming to the landscape? Another weighty question rested between them, and Abraham struggled to articulate the difference between divine guidance and human agency. Indeed, we follow the call, but it does not mean we are devoid of choice, my son. Our choices shape the flow of our lives. We are not marionettes. Faith invites us to choose willingly, embracing the divine plan even when it veers toward the painful. That, Isaque nodded but remained contemplative, the ascent growing steeper and the air thinner. The weight of their footsteps echoed louder, almost like a reverberation of their thoughts. In the growing dusk, they paused to catch their breath, the gravity of the moment wrapping around them like a cloak. Looking up, Abraham noticed the first hints of stars piercing the twilight, celestial bodies that mirrored the promise of endurance through darkness. Do you see those stars, Isaque? He asked, pointing with a trembling finger. They remind us that even amidst obscurity, light remains. Stars mark pathways through the silent night, just as our faith guides us through trials. Isaque gazed upward, his youthful spirit flickering with hope. Perhaps our journey can bring light too, if we trust in what lies ahead. Yes, Abraham breathed, but doubt pulsed in his heart. Yet the light may come through places of deep sacrifice. Silence enveloped them as they resumed their climb. Each step bore a heartbeat of possibilities, swirling in a dance of foreboding and hope. Abraham's mind raced with prayers and fears as they neared the summit, the air crackling with unvoiced truths yet to be revealed. As they reached the peak, what lay before them was a breathtaking panorama, yet the beauty felt bittersweet. In the stillness, the evening breeze carried whispers, fragile as dreams yet to be realized. Abraham turned to Isaque, his heart heavy with that unshakable feeling of impending change. What would they discover at the final ascent, and what sacrifice had been quietly woven into the very fabric of their journey? The answers lingered in the darkness above, a mystery yearning to unfold. As they stood at the summit, the vast wilderness stretched out like a tapestry woven from both light and shadow. The valleys below whispered secrets of life, while the distant horizon remained murky with uncertainty. Abraham felt a surge of emotions, fear and hope entwined like the branches of a tree, each one vying for his attention. Here, at the edge of the world, we can behold the expanse of what is and what may come, he said, his voice trembling slightly as he absorbed the vista. Somewhere within the grandeur, he sensed an invisible hand guiding their journey, though unease brewed in his heart. Isaac's gaze wandered across the sprawling landscape, a reflection of innocence and deepening wisdom. Father, do you think God watches us from here, as we ponder our path? Or is he closer, in the quiet of our hearts where doubts linger? Abraham folded his hands, a gesture of surrender. Both, I believe. He is the still voice within us and the mighty force beyond us. In every peak and valley lies the trace of his presence, a reminder that he walks beside us through our struggles. Our challenge, my son, is to recognize his signs amid the chaos, yet, even as he spoke these truths, the weight of the moment settled deeper within him. The aroma of the earth mixed with the cool night air wrapped them in a profound silence, where even the stars seemed to pause, anticipating the revelation that loomed ahead. Do you feel it, Father? The tension? Isaque asked, stepping nearer to the edge of their elevated perch. It is as if the universe holds its breath, waiting. But why? That's the mystery of faith, Abraham replied, his eyes scanning the horizon. It is often cloaked in uncertainty, our understanding shrouded in layers yet to be peeled away. Perhaps the waiting is as much a part of the process as the answers we seek. With renewed determination, they turned away from the view, seeking the place where sacrifice was to be rendered, an altar upon which dreams and destinies might be laid bare. Abraham felt as if the very stones beneath his feet whispered of history, stories of those who had walked this path before him, those who had tasted both triumph and despair. As they ventured deeper, the silence became palpable, almost a character unto itself, cloaking them in an enigmatic embrace. Father, Isaque ventured, his voice a thread in the heavy air, if faith leads us to surrender everything, then what does that make of love? Can love and sacrifice dwell in harmony? Abraham paused, reflecting on the weight of his son's insight. Love, my dear Isaque, is not devoid of sacrifice. It often asks us to lay down our very selves for the sake of another. In its purest form, love invites us to bear one another's burdens, to embrace the trials, and to trust in something greater than ourselves. But this does not diminish the pain we must endure. The path grew steeper, winding like a serpent. With each step, the burden of what lay ahead pressed heavier upon Abraham's soul. Would this night bring clarity or plunge them further into uncertainty? He felt an almost supernatural pull, a whisper urging him to continue, to press into the mystery that lay beyond their planned destination. As they approached a thicket, the cacophony of the outside world fell away, and an inner stillness emerged. Abraham's heart quickened with trepidation. Is this the place, Isaque? Is this where we must demonstrate our faith? Isaque brushed aside a thorny branch, revealing a small clearing bathed in silver moonlight. In its center lay an ancient stone, weathered and worn, as if it had witnessed countless acts of devotion. In that moment, the air shimmered, electric with divine purpose. It encapsulated a silence thick with expectation. Father, Isaque said softly, his hand trembling as it brushed against the stone. What if this is more than a test? What if it is an invitation to discover the depths of our own hearts? Abraham turned to face his son. The raw innocence that lingered there stirred something deep within him. In that instant, he understood, the journey was not meant only for the heart of the father but for the spirit of the son as well. Perhaps we are both being called to lay down our fears and emerge transformed. As they stood together in the weight of decision, uncertainty lingered in the air. What lay ahead was a profound test that not only demanded the ultimate sacrifice but also promised revelations yet to unfold. What deeper truths would emerge from their willingness to surrender, and could the act of laying down their fears bring forth a brighter understanding of love and faith? The answers fluttered just beyond reach, teasing them like whispers carried on the wind, inviting them to explore the sacred mystery entwined within their journey. As the moon cast its silver glow over the ancient stones, the atmosphere vibrated with an unearthly stillness. Abraham and Isaque stood poised between the earthly realm and the divine, an altar of profound surrender looming before them. Abraham's heart drummed against his chest as he contemplated the weight of the moment, the irreversible decisions that would spring from their faithful hearts. With trembling hands, he approached the altar, the memories of laughter and joy shared with Isaque echoing in the corners of his mind. This was not merely a test, it was an opportunity to uncover the essence of trust. The air felt dense with anticipation, as though the universe had paused, waiting for the next breath, the next heartbeat, each filled with potential revelation. Isaque, youthful and innocent, stood at the fringes of comprehension, searching for understanding in the depths of his father's eyes. "Father," he said again, his voice breaking the sacred silence, "if we place our trust in God, does it mean we will not face pain? Will He shield us from loss?" Abraham knelt before the altar, placing his hands on the cold stone. Each heartbeat thrummed with the weight of love and fear, the knowledge of sacrifice intertwining painfully yet beautifully. Isaac, love is intertwined with sacrifice. It does not promise a life free from hurt, but rather a life illuminated by the strength found in faith and surrender. What we face today may seem unbearable, but beyond the pain lies the promise of deeper connection, understanding, and purpose. Isaac nodded, yet uncertainty painted shadows across his brow. "Will we understand it later, Father? Will we see why it had to be this way?" "Perhaps, my son," Abraham responded, his voice thick with emotion. Faith often blossoms in the fertile ground of unanswered questions. We plant our trust in the soil, even when the shoot has yet to break through the earth. As the moon journeyed across the sky, Abraham's hands trembled as he saw the shimmer of stars reflecting hopes yet realized. Then he raised the knife, gripping its hilt firmly, the blade reflecting the celestial bodies overhead. "In this moment, I choose to surrender all that I hold dear, to trust beyond my fears. Our lives are but threads in a larger tapestry woven and rewritten by the divine." It was then that the air shifted, a sudden gust sweeping through the clearing, carrying with it a voice, tender yet authoritative. "Abraham." The name hung in the air, echoing off the stones, reverberating through the hearts of father and son. Startled, Abraham turned his gaze upward, full of awe. The divine presence enveloped him like warm light, illuminating both his fears and his faith. "Here I am, Lord," he responded, his voice breaking. "Do not lay a hand upon the boy," the voice called out, gentle yet firm. "For you have shown that in your heart, you are willing to sacrifice all. It is the willingness that I seek, not the act itself." As these words settled in his spirit, Abraham's heart swelled with a humbling rush of relief and understanding. He lowered the knife, trembling yet transformed. The weight of anguish faded into something light, a realization that led to liberation. In that sacred moment, a rustling emerged from the thicket nearby. Abraham turned to see a ram entangled in thorns, a creature chosen to take the place of his beloved son. The symbolism resonated, an echo of divine provision amidst sacrifice. "Father, how can this be?" Isaac murmured, awe painting his features. "Does this mean we have not lost everything?" Abraham stepped back, tears of gratitude cascading down his cheeks, the knife still heavy in his grasp, a symbol of the battle fought and won within his soul. "No, my son. It means we have gained something deeper. The invitation to trust has led us to transformation, with heartstrings intertwined like roots drawing from the same earth." Father and son found themselves embracing, the altar now signifying not just loss but the profound promise of salvation, a resurrection not of bodies, but of spirits, redeemed through surrender. The sun began to spill across the horizon, wrapping the earth in golden hues. As the sky painted itself in shades of renewal, Abraham turned to Isaac, eyes bright with understanding. "Today, we have tasted the truth of faith, that even in our sacrifices, we find a place of love within God's eternal covenant. He asks us to trust, to seek the divine purpose in our trials, that through each burden borne with love, we step closer to the heart of the Almighty." Isaac beamed, understanding blossoming within him like wildflowers in spring. "And this moment becomes part of our legacy, Father. A testament that would inspire many to trust, even in their darkest hours." "Yes," Abraham breathed deeply, a sense of divine purpose washing over them. "And together, we sow seeds of hope for future generations, teaching them that faith thrives not in avoiding pain, but in embracing the unknown with open hearts." As they descended from the mountain, the ram following behind them, the sun broke forth with brilliant light cascading across the land. Abraham and Isaac walked side by side, hand in hand, marking the beginning of a faith journey that would extend beyond their own lives, a journey built on trust, sacrifice, and the unyielding love of a God who walked alongside his people through every dark valley and brightly lit mountaintop. And so, from that day forth, the legacy of Abraham grew not just from the line of his blood, but through the hearts of countless souls who, in their own trials, learn to surrender their fears and embrace the divine dance of faith and love. Like stars twinkling in the vast night sky, their stories, woven with sacrifice, would illuminate the path for generations, provocatively whispering the eternal truth, that every trial encountered is a sacred invitation to trust, and every surrender, a step toward profound transformation. The world would remember within the depths of love lies the power to rise, to hope, to flourish, even in the shadow of sacrifice.